Happy Friday to you. Man, football 24/7 almost now, right? Football almost 24/7 here. I mean, last night, tonight, Saturday, Sunday, we even got Monday Night Football too. And this is the dress rehearsal for the upcoming 2023 NFL season, as I've been saying the last couple days. This is a dress rehearsal. And last night with Eagles and Browns, that thing was a train wreck. But it's to be expected. Okay? Good teams with good rosters are not going to put a lot of starters in a meaningless game, especially in today's NFL when you see all these weird injuries. You're just not. And more of the organized team practices. It was clear last night that both the Browns and the Eagles took their organized team practices way more serious than what they saw last night. And again, as fans, the media, the overall NFL and pro football fan bases, they're all going to look at that and go, what was it? You got to kind of combine it all. So you don't go too crazy about last night. You don't go over the top. What you do is you have to have reasonable thinking and combining both the organized team practices and what you saw last night and put it all together. And then you form your roster. And some rosters are further ahead and some are still developing. You got to remember something about the Eagle roster. There's not a lot of position spots open. You're talking about maybe five or six different roster spots that are open. There's not going to be a ton that was on the roster even a year ago where you're going to see a lot of transition in that roster. Okay? Hey, before I get going into my takeaways from last night, okay? Tyree Cleveland, that whole situation with him on a gurney and the Eagle fans doing the wave, I wouldn't think 10 seconds about it. But people outside of Philly will. How many people do you think in the seats there at Lincoln Financial knew exactly what was going on the field? Nobody did. Nobody had an idea. It could have been a broken leg. But see, because it's Philly, if that's Pittsburgh and they're doing the wave, or if that's Los Angeles and they're doing the wave, it's not a big deal. Only in Philly is it a big deal. And I agree with you with the hate. Any 31 other places could have did that. And nobody would have even mentioned it. Nobody would have mentioned it. But because it's Philly, they think you guys are bad fans, which you are not. You're some of the most educated and edgy. The two E's that I love, edgy and educated. I love it. Maniac, welcome aboard here, brother. I wouldn't think 10 seconds about that. I'd wear that as a merit badge. And if you want to call me the villain, every sport needs villains. And if I'm Philadelphia sports fans, you want to call me the villain, I'm right there. And I'm right there with you because they call me the villain of sports broadcasting. And you want to go there? You got it. That thing last night, I saw some of the comments. Maybe not the right time. Shut up, dude. You really think a family sitting in the seats and there's a guy on a gurney who may be having issues when it comes to stabilization. You really think that family's hoping that guy's paralyzed? Come on, man. That's the idiotic cancel culture people that we have in this country today that they like to think for you. Got a great fan base. I love arguing with you. I love debating with you. I love having great conversation with you. In my 2.5 years talking to Philadelphia sports fans, I have nothing but respect for you. Even the people who give me the most shit here. Let's move on. We don't want to get too sappy, do we? Quan, I don't hate you. Quan, I need you. Quan, are you kidding? I need you. You fuel me, Quan. You get my Italian up. Are you kidding me, Quan? You get my Italian up. I belong in South Philly, man. Okay? All right, man. Let's get to the takeaways. Now, look, I want to temper this because, look, there's no question the Philadelphia Eagles value the organized team practices, like I said, way more than they do those exhibition games. Okay? And it was evident last night. That thing was an absolute train wreck. But you take some things away from it. Because, again, you know what we're looking for here? I don't really care about the score. I really don't care about the yards. I'm going to throw something out here in a minute. But, I mean, at the end of the day, you're just looking for consistent play. That's what you're kind of looking for here. So let's go into it. It was as sloppy as you can get with an exhibition football game. Almost impossible to really get some takeaways from something like that unless you go back and watch it again, which I did. And I agree, Brian, it was just sloppy all over. Okay, a lot of guys not playing with each other. You could tell in the offensive line, especially with the Eagle second-team offensive line. That's the worst the Eagle offensive line, the second group has looked in 3 years I've been covering the team. That was terrible. So you got to temper it on what I'm going to say here. So you got to kind of be cool and you got to not go over the top here a little bit. So this is just some observations that I took away, and I wrote a boatload of them down here. The Browns completely dominated in the first quarter, the Eagles. And what was important to take away from that in the first quarter is that Dean, Jordan, and Jalen Carter were the triangle, and not one starter from the offense for the Browns were in that huddle, and they ran the ball right down their throats. Here's the numbers. The Eagles had the total in the first quarter, a total of 13 plays. Cleveland had it 30 and 100 yards. They ran the ball right down their throat. I mean, they were completely dominated, especially even in the first half. So what was kind of troubling a little bit was that the triangle got pushed around by the Cleveland second-team offensive line. I mean, these are the numbers here. It's 13 plays to 30. They had 100 yards in offense at time of possession in the first quarter. If you look at it, the Eagles didn't even really have the ball in the first half because they were running the ball right down their throat. So you took that away. If you were Cleveland, you were a little bit kind of like, yeah, that's pretty good for us because our second team dominated what could be a starting trio of Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, and Kobe Dean got pushed off the ball. I mean, time of possession, the amount of plays, and the yards dictate that. So they were knocked off the ball. This is what I took away. You take whatever you will from the Kobe Dean's play. And I know everybody gave him A+. Me, I saw false steps. I saw him get pushed around. I didn't see a lot of good football plays. Kind of got lost sometimes in his scrape lane. And he made a arm tackle to punch the ball out, which is a big play. Okay, that's good. The rest of it, I don't know. How about this? I still need to see a lot of work out of him. False steps. Go back and watch it. I watched it twice. They were false steps. I mean, you saw him step left, go back right. Did that about 5 times. You're not going to do that against first-team guys. Now, again, he needs reps. You saw it in there. And the arm tackle punch out, he was out of position. slapped the ball out, got it out on the goal line. I mean, okay. I'm looking at really more of his play and how he runs to the ball. It was a little slow. Okay? So, I mean, and it was against the twos. So, let's see a little more work. How about this? I don't want to go crazy because false steps are going to be expected from a guy who's never played. He's never played. He's got 34 reps. That's exactly what I saw last night. So, how about this? Here's what I did like with him. He's around the ball. And when you're around the ball, that means you could be a playmaker. Okay? I've seen guys that are technically sound and they never make a play. Okay? So that was my takeaway with him. Jordan Davis has one pass rush, a bull rush. The rest of it is garbage. He needs to develop a pass rush move outside of a bull rush. Runs right into the offensive guards, and he needs to do a better job at getting off blocks and run in the run game. The second team unit for the Browns knocked him off the ball again. Kid, you got to use your arms a little better and your hands a little more. This is what I'll say about Jalen Carter. You know, not impressive, but just keep giving him reps. Keep giving him reps. Keep giving him reps. He's going to be fine. Was not impressive, okay? Got turned around a little bit, got knocked off the ball, got knocked back into Nakobe a couple times. By the way, that was evident also in why Nakobe couldn't make a lot of run fits. The two tackles got knocked off the ball. And so with White, and like I tell you, if those two tackles in front of you were not playing really hard football and keeping the line of scrimmage with integrity, and those guys get knocked back, what happens? The linebacker scrape lane gets knocked back, and you're going to have poor fits. So, again, they need more reps. It's not saying they can't do it. They just need more reps. Okay? That triangle needs to get – last year's triangle was Fletcher Cox, Jalen Hargrave, and TJ Edwards. That's an experienced group that produced a lot. Think about what that threesome did. That threesome produced 6.5 sacks, 11 sacks, and 160 tackles. That's formidable. The heart of your defense is completely changed this year from what it was a year ago. You had 17.5 sacks last year out of 2 DTs and 160 tackles at your Mike backer. Okay? So, these guys need more reps. It was a little bit sloppy last night for the triangle. Would I like to see them play in the third? I would, but probably not. It's too late now. It's too late. You got to get ready for New England. It's too late. Okay? It's just too late. So, you got to go with what you have now. And again, Jalen Carter was not impressive. He didn't do anything exceptional in there. Just keep feeding him reps. Okay? I don't know what their practice schedule is this week and what they're going to do with organized team practices, but get him as many reps as you possibly can. Now, again, I want to make sure everyone understands this. I like the fact that Dean made a play. You can build on that. But the false steps, again, that's to be expected from a guy who hasn't been out there in the starting role. It could be John Dean. It could be Sammy Dean. That's going to happen to anybody. It could be the kid Campbell in Detroit. He's going to have false steps if he hasn't played. It's common. Everyone goes through the progressions of learning. It's not a big deal. Okay? But I do like the fact that he made a significant turnover play. That means he's around the ball. But those two tackles in front of him can't get knocked off the ball like they did in that first quarter. I mean, Cleveland dominated them. Got to be better than that. Got to be better. Marcus Mariota's terrible. I mean, he's absolutely brutal. He has no right being on that. Tanner McKee has outplayed him. But what happens here is that Marcus Mariota fits the system better. Okay? I mean, he fits the system better in what they're going to ask to do. Mariota's terrible. Now, I wrote these names down for a reason. You're not going to get a frontline superstar quarterback or a really great quarterback as a backup at this stage right now. So you have to look at the rosters on guys who potentially could be cut. You know that kid last night, that Dorian Thompson-Robinson? I think that kid's from UCLA. If I'm not mistaken, I thought he may have been in Green Bay. He's the fourth-team quarterback in Cleveland right now. They may cut him. I would like him on the Philadelphia Eagle roster. I would not have a problem with him being signed as my backup quarterback. Okay? I don't have a problem with that. Will Grier in Dallas. Now, he's the third, fourth team guy. Will Grier could play that system. You got to look at guys who fit the system. So Will Grier in Dallas, an RPO guy himself, okay? I don't know if Dallas will cut him, but they love Cooper Rush. Anthony Brown, the Oregon kid who's in Baltimore, plays also in that RPO type of system. These are the kind of guys you're going to have to look at on people who potentially could be out there. Because I want guys that come from a system of well-coached quarterbacks and run the same type of system I do. You got to remember, this is like a puzzle here. So people go, how about Phillip Rivers? Phillip Rivers has no right being on the Philadelphia Eagle offense. Why in the world would you even think Phillip Rivers? No way does that guy fit what they're doing. But a guy, look, Baltimore, Cleveland, Dallas, they got pretty good offensive coaches there. And kind of what they do. Anthony Brown, some of you guys go, who's that? Well, it's not important. You're looking at a guy to walk into the room in there in case there's a disaster. Marcus Mariota's not cutting it. And I do not want to hear this. Well, he's had 8 different coaches, 9 different this and that. This is professional football. Okay? That has no bearing on how he sucks so bad. Okay? I told you in the offseason and in the preseason and leading up to the preseason, Marcus Mariota has failed at every single stop that he has been at. What makes you think he's going to succeed in Philly? It's playing out exactly like I said here. Howie gave that guy $5 million, and that's a mistake. It's a mistake. The theory's right. His theory, here, let me say this to you. Tone goes like this, I agree. Mariota's cooked. He clearly is not at all in football. And let me say something to you that's happened to Marcus Mariota. When you're a star in college and you're a Heisman Trophy winner and you have so much success, football beats the love of the game out of you. I'll give you an example. My aunt hates when I do this. I'm in Tampa. I'm a backup. I'm not getting a nose guard position. Many of you know the story. I never played nose. I caught myself in my apartment saying this. I don't want to do this anymore. And I love football. I said that out loud. Biggest disaster in my life. I had come from a program. I got all the money, all the accolades. I found myself in my apartment by myself saying, I don't want to do this anymore. And I was 22 years old. Okay? So I know where Marcus Mariota's feeling in his head is right now. Football has taken the love of the game out of it because he's failing. And what happens is when you throw an interception, it becomes the Carson Wentz factor. He's Carson Wentz, just in Marcus Mariota's uniform. Dude, as much as momentum carries athletes sometimes, momentum the other way carries it as well. You got to remember that. These guys are human. Feelings, emotions, all go into play in football. It's not about kissing cheerleaders and cashing paychecks like many of you think. You got to have your heart and soul and mind and everything into it and focused all the time. And you've got to be able to deal with adversity. Marcus Mariota, since he came out of Oregon, has dealt with adversity. And he's dealt with it, and it's been a constant downhill fall for him. Some people go like this. He doesn't even look like he wants to play. Probably doesn't. He does in his heart, because the heart's the last thing to give out. But in his mind's beating him right now. That's what's happening. It's not about the money, guys. Okay? This comes down to football's your first love and true love. It's your love, man. Once the love of the game is gone, it's truly over. Absolutely, Brandon. Sometimes it comes at 46, and sometimes it comes at 26. The real lucky ones are the ones that it continues. Okay? So, I feel for the kid. I do. I understand it. It's an emotional game, man. Takes your heart and soul. Let me tell you something. You don't love your kids. You don't love your wife. You don't love your family more than the game when you're playing it and you're active in it. You do not. You can't. Your focus, your time. You spend more time with teammates than you do your own personal family. So when you start having failure like that, hey, Danko's the sport just literally kills you. It does. The failure of it. And again, this is why Jalen, can I tell you something too? Let me tell you what I loved last night. The thing I took away the most that I loved the most last night, Trey Sermon puts the ball on the carpet. And there's Jalen Hurts going over to him. You know what he told him? Hey, you got the rest of this game and you got another game to erase that. Don't let that play and your love of something. You got to pick your ass up and you got to go. And I thought he came back in the game and played well. That was because of Jalen Hurts. And when Jalen Hurts comes and talks to you like that, he comes from a place where he's been at the ultimate pits to the ultimate pinnacle. Let me tell you something, man. That I was emotional on that because Hurts didn't have to go over and talk to him like that. Those little tiny subtle moves right there is why that guy is worth more than $255. I'm telling you, I was so impressed with him. Hey, and he was like this. He didn't want anybody to know what he was saying. You think Jalen Hurts does that for the cameras? He went over there for Trey Sermon so that Trey Sermon could go like this. He goes, don't let that play end it. You got 3 more quarters, and you got another week. Don't give him an excuse. Go out there and give it 100. Tell you what, man. After that, the kid goes back in the game. If I'm a coach, I got to figure a way to keep Trey Sermon on my team. And I look over at Jalen Hurts and I go, look, I'll tell you this, man. I got a lot of respect for that kid. I got more respect now for Hurts, even more respect. That was cool, man. Trey Sermon is a borderline cut. And there's Hurts talking to him because he likes him. He works hard. Hey, how many quarterbacks, you ever see Carson Wentz do that? Do you ever see Donovan McNabb do that? To the 53rd guy on the roster. Hurts was like his dad there. I'm talking Hurts' dad. It's good. That was a great moment last night. Maybe some of you didn't notice it. I don't know if you saw it. But that stuck out to me like it was one of my takeaways. And it was one of my big takeaways. I really loved it. It's a good moment. It was just a really great moment. I loved it. Nolan Smith, hurt again? It was a hell of a moment. And then Sermon responds with a 33-yard TD. So awesome. Right. I'm finding a way to keep Trey Sermon on my team. Nolan Smith, hurt again? Why do I say that? Well, he was hurt last year too. So are we starting to see a little bit of being injury prone? I hope not. He was better. He was better. He was flying around. He was better. A little more controlled. Okay? Now, I'll say this to you. One thing I don't like where they are. So let me get this right. Nolan Smith and Hassan Reddick are injured. Okay, now I'm hearing Smith is not as bad off as people thought. Okay, all right. Okay. And could he have played? Maybe. Okay, we'll find out. I mean, but this is, I don't want to hear injured again from him because he's missed a little time at Georgia being injured. That's an issue. Or is it? I don't know yet. Just making an observation. But on his play, he was better controlled. They got to figure it out. I mean, I don't think the Eagles even know what they have yet. Okay, I don't think they know what they have. So they just got to figure it out. Zach Cunningham can play. By the way, I'm going to name my 22 Eagle starters here in a minute. Guys that I believe who should start for the 2023 season. The guys that I would pick to start. Zach Cunningham can play. He's a good football player. Yeah. I mean, I don't know exactly what Tennessee's looking for, but so far, the 2 weeks that I've watched him play, I like him. I mean, he's I don't know why you're not on a roster earlier than what you were. Maybe it was over finances or over money or something, but he could play. Zach Cunningham could play, man. I was cool with him. I liked watching him play and running around, making plays, moving guys around. I thought he was good. Sidney Brown, out of position, over-aggressive. They kind of game planned it that way and went after him. Bunch of false steps. Slow down, kid. Slow down. I know you want to get there. Slow down. He should not start. He will be picked apart by these coordinators in the NFL. Let him get used to playing NFL football at a controlled rage. He's playing with rage, but not controlled rage. I want my player to play with rage. I like the rage. I like the animal instinct in players. But you got to put guardrails around some of these guys in cages. Control it. Got turned around a few times. He looked like, again, and they game planned it. You saw them turn him around a few times. He was a little out of control. So, hey, you can coach this down. It's okay. Look, do I think he's going to be a good one? I do. Do I think that this guy by the end of the year may start? I do. Hang in there, though, kid. Let's just hang in there. Hang in there. Listen to your coaches and talk to some of your secondary guys like Slay and Bradbury on how you play with control. I don't want to say this to the guy, hey, back up. Back up. That's not what I'm looking for. I'd like to have Brian Dawkins talk to him. Learn how to play with that rage. It's okay. I want you to play in a rage. I want you to be a headhunter back there and a tone setter. Do you know what free and strong safeties are? Any great defense has always had a tone setter. Last year, the Eagles didn't have a tone setter. Now, you can't really have headhunters anymore, but you can get a tone setter. Go out there, make some Cam Chancellor hits, put guys on their bonnets, you know? But kid, slow it down a bit. You were out of control. Okay? He's good. He's good. Just slow it down a bit. Your number 3 wide receiver is yet to be determined, and I don't know if he's on the roster. Man, that thing's a shit show. Outside of your top 2 guys, you have nothing. I mean nothing. Now, the quarterback play by Mariota wasn't very good. But, man, I'll tell you what, those wide receivers that you have are, I mean, I don't know. They're not anything. I mean, do they throw footballs to him? Do they give him reps at all in any way? From your 13 guy down, you have nothing in that wide receiver room that's worth a shit. And this is why I keep saying you better not lose AJ or Devontae, because that will diminish you a lot. And you will be hurt, and Jalen and that offense will be hurt. That RPO system will be hurt. If you lose one of them top line guys, okay, your offense will be dramatically changed because you just don't have enough dudes back there, and you don't have enough of a prolific passing game. Some guys go like this. Well, Sills, they had 2 1,000-yard receivers. Yeah, well, the quarterback doesn't throw the ball a ton. You don't. You threw the ball 450. Those other guys throw it 650, 700 times. Those are passing games. You're a dual threat game. You're a 50-50 team. You don't really think the Chiefs are a 50-50 team, do you? They're not a 50-50 team. They're just not. You are. Which means you got to rely a lot. Okay? Like Ward? Are you kidding? He's a nobody. I mean, I don't even know if the number 3 guy's on your team yet. They do take more of the organized team practices. Okay? They do take more of the organized team practices and look at them and they look at them more. And I that's my takeaway. They obviously, because that thing was as sloppy as it could possibly get. Okay. And organizationally, you walk away from that going like this, 18-18. And in the first half, the Browns dominated them. I don't know if I'm having a cow over it, but it just seemed like the offensive line, the second team guys were atrocious. Now, the safety in the end zone, I mean, Cleveland got off the ball and got got the safety, and it was like nobody really kind of gave a shit about it. I don't know. It's just Cleveland really pushed them off the ball, I thought. So again, at the end of the day, it's what it is. Okay. I thought it was a half-hearted effort. That was my takeaway from it. It was half-hearted. If I were to give a grade on it, C. I guess. Tanner McKee, he's not the second team quarterback on a team that will need a quarterback to go in and win games. He's not it. He's a project. So those of you out there who think that, he's not. You need somebody that runs that system. You need someone that fits that system. Didn't you learn a lesson from a year ago when you tried running RPOs with Gardner Minshew? Jesus criminy, open your eyes, some of you. I heard people all over and saw people on the internet going, Tanner McKee should be the number 2. So you want to go through the Gardner Minshew experiment again when they put that guy in and had him running RPOs against the Saints and against the Cowboys, and he looked pathetic doing it. Gardner Minshew cannot fit this system. I saw some people saying Nick Foles. Don't let your heart overcome your reasoning. The only reason I would want Matt Ryan in there is because Matt Ryan could probably get the ball to AJ and Devontae in a 1 or 2 game situation. But if you got to go a month with Matt, that's not going to cut it either. Matt's a former MVP. He's won a ton of games. He's taken a team to a Super Bowl. He'd be a great person for Jalen to talk to on the sidelines. I think, to me, that's where you're going to get more out of Matt, is on the sidelines with Jalen, than sitting around having another guy because Philly likes Nick Foles. Okay? Dude, just because you like a guy doesn't mean he's the right guy. Hey, Nick is a Philly legend, but not in 2023. He's not. Not on this team. It doesn't fit. Forrest goes, Matt Ryan. Well, then you're reduced to this. Hoping someone gets cut. Which is it? Hoping someone gets cut from an active team? Or Matt Ryan, Nick Foles, or Carson Wentz? Pick one. What do you want? You don't have a ton of options. Some go like this. Well, I would never want Wentz. That's not the point. Your options are limited. Guys that will be cut, Matt Ryan, Carson Wentz, and Nick Foles. Pick one. And if you pick Foles, you're picking the lesser of them all. Tyrod Taylor's on a roster. Howie's not going to make a trade for a backup quarterback. Any team in their right mind right now knows the value of a backup. Ask the Cowboys. Cooper Rush saved their season last year. And don't go Cam. again, don't look at the back of the name on the jersey. Look at the formula that fits the system you're running today. Jesus criminy. It's not about resumes as a backup. You need someone that can go in there and do the things. I'll tell you what. I want someone that has a skill set of Snoop Hundley in Baltimore. That's what I want. I want someone to look like Snoop Hundley in Baltimore as my backup quarterback. Okay? That's the guy you need. Marcus Mariota is not going to cut it. He's not good enough. And here's the problem with Mariota. It's not that he doesn't make plays. He makes mistakes. The one thing the Eagles don't do is make mistakes. They may have a few bad plays, but the Eagles don't make mistakes. Okay, they're a mistake-free team. And that's how they're coached. That's how they're developed. Okay? I mean, and by the way, real quick before I move on to the 22 that I want to see starting in Philly, Howie did the right thing by giving Marcus Mariota the contract and having him come in to the Eagles and try to be the backup because he was looking for a different role for him. No one really had that role for him. Maybe John Gruden did. And you know what? To be fair to Marcus, John Gruden, when Mariota went in as a Raider, I thought he had moments where he looked pretty decent. I thought he was okay. Okay? That's good coaching. So I see where Howie goes, this guy's kind of the skill set we have with our guy. You know, it kind of mirrors it in case something sideways goes. You don't fault Howie on this. The money's right. The thought process is right. The evaluation is right when it comes to thinking, well, he's in a different role here. Will he accept it? So quite frankly, you don't shit on Howie for going down this lane. This wasn't much of a gamble. He was going to be the backup. He was never going to come in and compete. Okay? He was never going to come in and compete. So it was the thought process was good. Okay? The thought process was right and smart to bring Mariota in. But everyone's like this. Nick Foles, everyone, damn. If you sign Nick Foles, if the Eagles sign Nick Foles, that's because they're listening to the fan base instead of listening to what's right. They know what's right here, okay? They know what's right, okay? All the cheesesteaks and pretzels ain't going to make this thing happen. It's just not going to work, okay? So, all right. I want to tell you who I believe should be the starting 22 on your Eagle team. I want to get to the starting 22. So far, what I've heard, what I've seen, these are the men that I think should be starting for the 2023 Philadelphia Eagles. Let's do the offense because it's pretty simple. Then we'll go to the defense. I got Jalen Hurts, obviously, and I got Tanner McKee until that changes otherwise as the backup quarterback. He's outplayed Mariota, okay? Do I think they'll go into the season with Mariota and McKee in case of disaster? I do think those are 1, 2, and 3. They may go Mariota's 2, but to me, I think McKee's outplayed him. I think, and you know what some say? Well, I'd like to see Tanner McKee play against better people. Well, I'd also like to see Tanner McKee play with better people. You know, I hear people talking and saying this. Well, he's not going against the 1s. Well, he's also playing with the 3s. So what do you think he would do if he had A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert and DeAndre Swift, you think he'd play better? Or no? Don't you think he'd play better if he had Lane Johnson and if he had Jordan Mailata? Okay? That's an interesting point. A lot of his passes were dropped yesterday. Yeah, because of what I just said to you about, that's what Tone said. And that's what I just said to you about that wide receiving room. Outside of the first two guys, they're nobodies. They're not very good. You saw it on display with all the drops. They're not good. How about if Tanner McKee played with Devontae and with A.J. Brown and Goddard? You think those guys catch almost all those drops? I do. What if he plays with better people? So, there's the other side of that. Well, he's not going against the ones in Cleveland. Well, he ain't playing with the ones in Philly. So let me get this right. Tanner McKee is standing out with scrubs. Okay. Isn't he supposed to do that? Aren't you supposed to stand out if you're a better ball player with the scrubs? I don't know. Seems to make sense to me. And I saw people on social media going, well, he's not playing against anybody. Well, he ain't playing with anybody. Put him in there with some good players. See what he can do. I think this guy would have had, instead of, 10 of 17? He may have had 15 of 17 for 200 yards if he's playing with AJ and Devontae. He moves the chains. So let me get this right. Mariota couldn't move a better group, but Tanner McKee moved a scrub group. Who do you want? My starting running back in Philadelphia is DeAndre Swift. And my backup is Kenny Gainwell. And I'm going to use these two guys. Gainwell's going to be here. Gainwell's going to be my guy where I'm going to play mostly on first and second down. And Swift is going to be in my pass plan. Whatever that is. Could be first and second down. But he's going to be in my pass package. Okay? And I need him. It's more important. Get this. It's what's more important with DeAndre Swift? Having 11 starts and missing the season, or playing in 17 games and not starting one of them? What do you want him with? You make a good point. The moment McKee came in and created instant offense. Yeah, with scrubs too. Tone's like getting Swift to January is the most important thing. I'm more thinking February, but okay. Yeah, I don't care if he doesn't start a game. Now, there's probably something in his contract. There's an incentive in there that if he starts, he gets probably $150,000. So you're going to try to probably get him a couple starts. But to me, I don't care to start him. I might even start Kenny Gainwell and bring Swift in. I need 17 games from Swift, not 17. No, not 10 starts from him. Okay? I like how you think, Sills. February means you're in the big game. That's right, man. There's only one team in the NFL that has a great season. They're the team that wins the last football game played. The rest of them all go home. Okay? So that's my rotation. And I'll spot play Rashad Penny. Here, I'll tell you this. You know how I'm going to get Penny to February? By not playing him in every game. Situationally playing him against personnel groupings and teams that he fits. He may not play 1 week. That's okay. I need a healthy body back there. And get this, it could be potential. You know what you get? If you got 17 games from Rashad Penny and the way I want to play him, could be his most productive year he's ever had as an NFL player. There's another guy I'm not starting. I'm not starting him, Swift. I'm starting Gainwell. If I have to, Boston. Swift is important to me. He's the more important back. Okay? A.J. Brown wide out, Devontae wide out. Quez or who? I don't know. You have no number 3 wide out. You have a group of nobodies there. Okay? And for an organization that it matters to those wide receiver positions, not to have anybody in that. Zach Pascal would have been okay in that spot. A guy like that, not Quez. How about this? If Quez was a fighter and fought for jump balls, I'd probably be cool with him. Goddard, tight end. Malata, left tackle. Dickerson, left guard. Kelsey, obviously, center. Cam Jurgens, I got starting. He's had a good camp. Steen's right there, though. Steen's right there. And Lane, and then Jack Driscoll backing him up. Okay? It's a great offense. That's a great offense. That running back rotation will be key. You know why? Because of your lack of not having a 3 at wide receiver. DeAndre's your 3. And I mean 3 in a wide receiver kind of grouping. Goddard's 3rd in the progression of the passing game. But DeAndre Swift's going to be the alternate to the 3rd wideout because he's better than Quez in open space. Quez Watkins is great in a straight line. DeAndre Swift is great in traffic. What do you want? I want DeAndre Swift, especially coming out of the backfield. So to me, the number 3 wide receiver position is a non-factor. It's more about how Swift is going to be used this year and if he's able to withstand the workload. If he can withstand the workload, that 3 wideout will be covered. Okay? Here's your defense now. I got Brandon Graham starting at your left defensive end. This is a base 43. Your left defensive tackle, I got Jalen Carter starting. Jordan Davis behind him. Your right DT, I got Fletcher Cox with Milton Williams and Jordan in rotation. Milton Williams and Jordan Davis will be the rotating tackles. Jalen Carter and Fletcher Cox will be your starting tackles. Those are your 2 most talented defensive tackles, is Jalen Carter and Fletcher Cox. I think it's been on display. I think it's been exhibited. I think everyone sees it, and I think everyone understands it. Okay? That those are your 2 most talented players for your interior. Okay? And Fletcher had a good year last year, so to me. And like I said the other day, if you can get about 25 to 30 plays out of him, out of 60 defensive football plays, he's going to have a good year. So Josh Sweat will round out the front 4. Sweat, Fletcher Cox, Jalen Carter, Brandon Graham. Okay? And if Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham get close to what they did a year ago and Carter continues to improve, that could be a heck of a group. And you're not putting pressure on Jordan Davis in any way. He's a first and second down tackle. And Milton Williams, he continues to get more reps, in my opinion. Are you as talented as you were a year ago? You could be. Today, no. I think your ceiling's higher. I think your ceiling's higher. Your will linebacker. I got Zach Cunningham starting here with Nicholas Morrow behind him. I think they should put Zach Cunningham in there. He's a better. I've seen more in 2 weeks than I've seen anything with Nicholas Morrow. I don't think Morrow's horrible, but Cunningham's better. He's a better football player. You see him run the ball better. He's better in contact. He's better in traffic. I think Zach Cunningham should start at that will. You're going to put Dean in there. Okay. Let the chips fall where they may. Again, like I said last night, watching him play, false steps, he played like a guy who hadn't played in a long time. Okay. I mean, they were completely dominated by the second group of Cleveland Brown guys. 30 plays to 12 plays, 100 yards. They ran the ball right down their throats. So they need more reps. And again, I'm not disappointed because he did make a punch-out play. Now, again, it was an arm tackle, and he was out of position, got his hand on the ball, made a play. Good. You want people making plays. But to me, that's a Gardner Johnson play. How many plays last year did Gardner Johnson make out of position? 20? You got Reddick at the Sam linebacker with Nolan Smith. The problem I have with this rotation is both guys are injured. Smith probably not to the extent that people thought last night. It's good to hear, too, that he's not that banged up. So Reddick and Nolan Smith on that Sam backer. Cornerback 2, I got Bradbury and Avonte Maddox behind him. At strong safety, Terrell Edmonds and Sidney Brown behind him. I wouldn't mind Sidney Brown getting some free safety snaps. Reed Blankenship's the starter there with Kayvon Wallace. Okay. Sidney Brown's not ready to start in the NFL right now. He's not ready to start. Last night, he was all over the place. It was chaotic last night. He played chaotic. Like his hair was on fire. Again, he needs just to reel it in a little. And it was just, again, he was just a little all over the place. There was no structure to his game last night. And one more time on that. I'm not telling you here that I want to pull that back, but you got to play with controlled rage. And it was all over. And so from what we saw, not much difference from what we saw in week 1 to week 2. Okay? Slay at CB1. Greedy Williams behind him. You know, I'll tell you this. Keely Ringo, my take on him so far, I don't know. Got a lot of work to do. I don't think he's that hot yet. You could see he's been well coached. But I don't know, man. It just doesn't seem like he has a lot of, what would I say? He's not very athletic in his hips. Like, he doesn't really turn very well, and he's not really great, and and it just doesn't look very athletic. Okay? Yeah, that's it, Brian. He's stiff in the hips, and you could see it when he goes back. Okay? So, I mean, it's just he doesn't look very athletic. He knows what to do, but he's just, his basic tackling instincts are a little slower than everyone else. Like when he's in there, he's slow to get to the ball in his reaction time. So can you improve on that? Yeah, you know how you improve on that? Keep giving him reps. Like, I would like to see him play a lot in this last preseason game. I want to put him out there a lot with Ricks. And I want to get Sidney Brown in there a little more too and tell him, calm the F down. Okay? Just calm down, kid. You need to recognize shit a little bit smoother. Running to the guy to knock his head off is not how you play free and strong safety. Okay? It's not. Once you get there, you can be an Ed Reed or you can be a Brian Dawkins. Those guys pick their times and pick their moments when to blow people up. Again, a lot of this is just really time. Okay? So, one more time here. Brandon Graham, Jalen Carter, Fletcher Cox, Josh Sweat. That's your starting defensive line. Only D-line better. I don't think Dallas has a better D-line than you. I don't. Washington? I'll tell you this. If you think about it, there's some pretty good defensive lines in the NFC East. Giants have one. Washington has one. Dallas has one. And the Eagles have one. Think about that. How many divisions in football have D lines like that you got to get through? Okay? I mean, you got some pretty damn good defensive lines in the NFC East. You know what, too? Jalen Carter, I'm going to say this about Jalen Carter. If Fletcher is healthy all year and Jordan plays well this year and Brandon doesn't get 11 sacks but gets 7 and Sweat continues to get like 11, 12 and Reddick continues, Jalen Carter might be the best defensive tackle in the NFC East by the end of the year. Would I have a problem saying that? Guy in New York is good. The guy in Washington is good. He could be in the conversation. I don't know if he'll be the best because those other two guys are experienced and awful good. Okay? NFC East got some D-lines. The linebacking core, Reddick, Zach Cunningham, and Dean. Look what you have there for Nakobe Dean. You got Zach Cunningham, and you've got Hassan Reddick on each side of him. Not horrible. Not horrible. His play's all going to be dictated by the health of Carter and Fletcher Cox, and his season will be dictated by the play of Milton Williams, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, and Fletcher Cox. If there's a rash of injuries or a string of injuries in those D tackles, Dean won't make the year because he's not big enough and he's not experienced enough. It's my only concern. But again, it's a concern that's not needed right now because that's not the case. Okay. I like Zach Cunningham. I think Zach Cunningham is their better guy. He's their best linebacker. Bradbury, Edmonds, Blankenship, and Slay. Not a bad secondary. How about this? This defense, going back to Howie Roseman now, this defense, compared to a year ago, experience is not here, but Howie did so much damage control that did he plug the dikes? Did he stop the water? Did he stop what could be an avalanche? Yes. There's potential here. There's potential here. Avonte Maddox, man, eventually you got to play, son. Avonte Maddox, Kayvon Wallace, Sidney Brown as your backups. Are you deeper this year and less experienced this year? Probably both. Okay? You're the best football team in the NFC with this group, offensively and defensively. The other teams will talk shit. But when you look at the roster on both sides of the ball, the Eagles will start the season in 2023, the team to beat in the NFC. You're not as deep and you're not as experienced, but your quarterback's better. Your coordinators are lesser. Your pass game will improve because of Swift. Goddard's health will improve. Also the passing game. Because if he's there for 17 weeks, that improves the game. Dickerson's got another year. Mulata's got another year. Kelsey's got another year. Do you worry about Father Time? Yes. Juergens and Steen, I think, can control the right guard position. They've proven they've had both guys had a good camp. Lane is Lane. Will Father Time hit Brandon Graham and Fletcher? Maybe. Carter's ceiling is through the roof. Sweat's the most underrated player on your football team. Josh Sweat is your most underrated football player. Season's going to come down to Dean, how well he plays. Maybe Edmonds. Is Slay older? That's my takeaway from last night. We'll take a look at week 2 of the NFL. I'll take some of your comments too. Okay? I'll take some of your comments on what you guys saw in that exhibition thing. Again, it was sloppy, but don't go too crazy. I didn't go too crazy. I just gave you my observations on what I saw last night. All right. I heard everybody had a great time last night at Hooters, man. And King of Prussia, the place was absolutely packed. Why wouldn't it be? It's the official home of Eagle fans. And by the way, all 7 locations in the Northeast area, pick one that's closest to you, northeasthooters.com. Find that location nearest to you for you to be able to go in there. Look, if you have your fantasy draft parties, this is the only place you want to go. Your exhibition football tonight, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, Hooters is your place in the Northeast area. Find that location nearest you. The iconic Hooter girls are going to be serving you. How about this? Tuesdays, when you go in for the week, you buy 10 wings, you get 10 boneless free. Wings Wednesday. That has been a 40-year anniversary tradition. That's right, 40 years anniversary. That's what Hooters is celebrating this year. 40 years of being able to serve you with the iconic Hooter girls. That's right. Kids eat free on Saturdays. How about this too? Happy hours. Happy hours, there's no place like it on the planet. $6, 6 items, your favorite brew. Try the fried pickles. You're going to absolutely love it. Again, those 7 locations, northeasthooters.com. Find that location nearest you. And you can go over to my Twitter page, at Dan Sileo Show. You'll see when I'll be in town at the King of Prussia Hooters, with all the great events that we're going to be doing. We got a ton of stuff that we're going to be doing. And when you go into Hooters, do me a favor. Make sure you tell them Big Sil sent you.